Welcome to another episode of the Empowerment Platform, where our goal is to simply empower you to reach your goals. Today, I have a special guest with me, Mr. Michael Benjamin. He is going to talk to us about debt elimination and really just share his stories and give us some practical tips on how to eliminate debt and start to get that financial freedom that we all desire. Michael, how is it going?
I'm blessed, man. How you doing?
Doing well. And I want to just thank you for joining me, for coming on and agreeing to share your knowledge, your information with the people, because debt is something that growing up we had trying to make ends meet, and everybody I knew had some kind of debt in their life. And student loans was a major thing. When I went to college and I incurred some student loans, still have them, still paying them. I know a lot of my friends complain about student loans. And so it's just something that hangs over you. Will you talk to us a little bit about your background? Tell us about your story, and just jump right into that debt elimination.
All right, man. So first of all, thanks for having me. Definitely appreciate being on the platform to talk to your audience. So just want to get that out there. In terms of my story, so it started when I was in preschool and there was this huge issue. When I was in preschool, basically I wasn't talking, I wasn't saying nothing. My teachers were calling me to speak. They would be like, Michael, what do you think about this? Michael, how do you feel about this? I would just look at them like they had something on their shirt, like they was looking crazy or something. I just wouldn't say nothing. So basically, it got to a point that they said this guy needs to be in special education classes.
Wow.
So yeah, it was crazy. So automatically, it's like they put this chip on my shoulder because I knew I didn't need to be in any special education class. That's not any disrespect to anybody in it, but I just knew personally I didn't need to be in it. And then essentially, I had an aunt that fought as a mentor for me. And that situation kind of just introduced me to the power of mentorship and how you can get out of certain situations. I got out of that situation. And then fast forward, I went on to college to major in engineering.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I became the president of my National Society of Black Engineers chapter, NSBE, for those that are familiar with that. And in this position, I had to give speeches in front of like hundreds of people at a time sometimes. So that don't sound like, somebody that was that didn't know what he was doing, basically.
Right.
So essentially I went from what I was a fixed mindset when I wasn't speaking to a growth mindset because now I was speaking and inspiring people and
Mm.
all of that. And then I eventually graduate college and then I pile on this debt and then I'm kind of presented in the same situation. I'm thinking I can be in this fixed mindset where I'm just like everybody, like, oh man, we have these student loans. I'm gonna be paying it forever. I've heard of some people saying that they're gonna be paying lower balance loans than I had for like the next 20 years. I'm just like, I almost wanted to throw up hearing that. I'm just like, I'm not even, what I'm saying? I'm not even trying to be in that kind of position. So it was crazy because I graduated with a chemical engineering degree, and I was assuming like, I should have a job instantly, but it
Right.
didn't even work that way. Like if I came out here to tell you that was my reality, I mean I'd be lying. So I was applying to a lot of different jobs. I applied to over 400 before I got my actual job. It was crazy, but that's a story for a different day. Just the whole mental
Ooh.
capacity and keeping keeping forward with that. So fast forward, I get my job and it was interesting because when I got my job, I essentially had to be paying off my student loans a month before I was even going to get paid. Right. So
Mhm.
I was stuck in this situation because my money management in college wasn't the best that it could have been. So I was just like, dang, how am I even going to pay this off? So then I started having like anxiety, heart racing, and everything. And I had to check myself. I'm like, I'm a grown man. Why am I having anxiety over like a bill? Like it shouldn't even be that deep. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of
Yeah.
opened my eyes up to just the fact of how we deal with debt. And then I realized that I can't be in this situation. So I set a plan for me to pay off my debt quickly. And then I saw a vision through God because I was working on my relationship with God throughout the process of getting my job. I
Mm.
saw I saw a vision where he put me in a position of speaking in front of a lot of people, helping them get out of debt. So I was like, all right, no, I have to really do this stuff. So that was kind of a quick summary of how that came to be.
Gotcha. And I want to go back a little bit to when you were younger. Why didn't you want to speak in class? Was it just you weren't comfortable or you just did not want to talk?
All right, so I was born in Inglewood, California. Anyone that knows Inglewood, California, it's like a dangerous place, drugs, gang violence, all of that. But at the end of the day, Inglewood's a beautiful place. So we moved out of Inglewood. My parents are from Nigeria, by the way.
Okay.
So yeah, so they moved from Nigeria to America to give us a better opportunity at life.
Mhm.
We moved to Inglewood without them knowing, what was going on over there. It didn't take too many like shootouts and all that for them to be like, hold on, what's going on over here? So then we moved out of there. And then I moved to like probably like an hour away from LA. And then just the fact that I was in a new place where I didn't know anybody,
Okay.
but naturally I'm an introvert anyways. So I think it was mainly just that. And then I just didn't get good energy from everybody around there. So I would be in that space where I wouldn't be talking, but then I would go home and be normal. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Got
Yeah,
And then, of course, with them asking you questions, you're not answering, they made an assumption
definitely.
and put you in. And I know we're about to talk about debt, but for the listeners, when your kids are in school and you hit on it that you had an advocate, a mentor, when your kids are in school, make sure you know what the teachers are trying to do. Be a part of that because I volunteer in schools and I see it a lot too. Some kids just don't want to speak or they have other things going on or they have family situations and teachers will label them and then they'll end up somewhere that they don't really need to be over just a assumption. So I like the way you said, you had a mentor, you had an advocate, and you were
Yeah.
able to get out of that and change that mindset because you could have developed that fixed mindset and said, okay, the teacher said it, so I belong here. And it would have changed the trajectory of your life.
Hmm.
And now you fast forwarded, got a job. Well, you graduated with a degree, and it took you how many applications to get a job?
Man, it was over 400 because I had like an Excel sheet and I was documenting everything I was doing. At first, I wasn't doing it like that. Um, I don't know if your listeners are familiar with the whole disc flight assessment, but I know we're gonna get into that later. So my D was just like I'm just applying straightforward, but then I
Mhm.
took a different approach and then I kept an Excel sheet of everything I was doing. It was real in depth. It had like the name, email, when I called them, just like a system and stuff. So it kind of put me in a position to be uncomfortable, if you will.
Okay, yeah,
And I would tell anybody that's graduating, especially during these times, because it's crazy. Get comfortable with the thought of being uncomfortable. You might have to get out of your element. Um, that ultimately pushed me because every time I got a new 100, I'm like, okay, I need to really push myself. But it was crazy because the way I ended up getting my job, it was like when I wasn't really tripping about it. I feel like when you let go of something, sometimes it tends to come versus you like constantly harassing it. You know what I'm saying?
right, that's true.
Yeah.
And so at this point, you have 30,000 plus in student loan debt. How
Yeah.
did you develop and what prompted you? And I know stress was one. You mentioned that anxiety, you wanted to get from under the debt. And then you also had a growth mindset, which is I think everything we talk about starts with the mind. You have to
Mhm.
have a change in mindset. You have to have a desire to know that I don't want to be in this. I want to get out of this. I want to do something different. So, kind of walk us through how you formulated your plan. What did you do, and how did you pay off $30,000 in student loan debt in 1 year, along with paying just living expenses?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So man, it was crazy. So yeah, going back to what I said, I gotta say that because it's low key PTSD, the whole anxiety
Mm,
feeling. So that's where it started. I was like, I'm not trying to be doing this forever. The fact I'm on the phone talking to the student loan people, like, oh, I'm gonna miss my payment. What can I do? Like, bro, I'm a grown man. Like, why am I, you know what I'm saying? So I
yeah.
felt like, why am I in this kind of submissive position, if you will? So after that, I told myself, I was like, I'm gonna pay this stuff off by 2020. This was 2018. No, so I got the job end of 2017. Yeah, this is basically going into 2018. So I
Okay.
told myself I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna pay off my student loan debt, everything by 2020. Then I don't know if it was like determination, arrogance, whatever you want to call it. If people do the zodiac stuff, I'm an Aquarius. Maybe it was that in me that made me be like, I'm gonna pay this stuff off in 1 year. So I told myself I'm gonna pay it off in literally 1 year. And the whole genesis of how it started was what led to me actually getting my job. So I was working on my relationship with God, like I kind of mentioned earlier. And what I did was I did a 21-day fast.
Mm,
Yeah, so basically the way I would do it was I would wake up at 6 a.m. I would pray, and then 3 hours later I would do the same thing. I would do it from 6 to 3, or if I was feeling real ambitious, I'd go 12 hours, 6 to 6 p.m. So I
okay.
wouldn't drink water or nothing, and it was crazy because I was still going to the gym at the same time. So it's like
Oh my
I was
goodness.
just tanked. I was gassed, and it was crazy. So after the 21 days, I basically got my job within the next week or so. And then, like I said, I had that vision of um, helping other people get out of student loan debt. So I had that vision while I was praying. I had the dream of it, me being in that position. So not only was me being disgusted at the fact that I was in debt, an initiator of that, but just the fact I had that dream. So I felt like God was speaking to me.
Mm,
I felt like I had to move forward. So then I was like, okay, I have to figure this out. I know that I wasn't that good at managing money in college. Well, compared to how when I paid off my debt, compared to like my peers and stuff, I was good just naturally because I'm naturally okay with managing money. But compared
mm,
to during my journey, it wasn't as good. So basically, I like to put it in terms of like a three-step process.
okay.
And the three-step process is what I call believe, plan, and execute. So believe is the mindset piece. I was working on my relationship with God, and you just got to believe in yourself that you can actually do it. So believe also consisted of the fact that I literally took out a sheet of paper when I figured out I wanted to do it in 1 year. I took out a sheet of paper. I said, February 2019, 30,000 plus. So I wrote that on a sheet of paper. I folded it. I know I always have my wallet with me. So I put it in my wallet. And during that entire year, I would look at that sheet of paper every single day. Most days, I'll be real. Most days, it wasn't every single day, but it was most days. But I would constantly think about it. And why that was powerful is because of the subconscious mind. You
Yeah.
know, the subconscious mind works in patterns, so it doesn't know right from wrong. So whatever you feed it is what it's going to comprehend. So I was feeding it February 2019, 30,000 plus, and believe also consisted of the fact that I was saying what I was before I was. So I was saying that I included in my affirmation because I do affirmations.
Hmm.
I was including that I am debt free. Um, I'm debt free by February 2019. And it got to the extent that when I was talking to peers, they were asking me, like, how am I debt free? We just graduated. I said, just wait and see. So you got to get to a point that with your goals or whatever you want to accomplish, you got to be delusional to a point because if anybody came to me and they told me I wasn't debt free, I would look at them like they were crazy back when I was in preschool when they were trying to talk to me. So part of that belief, we're still on step one, is betting on yourself. It's these affirmations. It's just programming your mind because, like you said yourself, and I know you're of this same thought process. Everything starts with the mind, so you have to really work on your mind, right? If you don't change the way you think, you're gonna be stuck in that fixed space. That's that fixed mindset. So I developed that growth mindset by changing the way that I thought about the process. And not only did I change the way I thought about the process, I went and asked myself, what's my relationship with money? That's something you got to ask yourself because a lot of times we don't even think about that. And the way that I got a lot of these different philosophies was just programming myself because it's one thing that we can eat physically. You could eat like a burger or pizza. You might feel tired after, but you gotta really focus on what you also feed your mind. So
Yeah.
what are you listening to? Who are you following on social media? What kind of podcasts are you listening to? Are you listening to podcasts, personal development podcasts like these podcasts? Are you listening to financial podcasts? So you gotta really understand what you're feeding yourself because that goes back to the subconscious mind and how it's so powerful because you might not know it, but you're constantly training yourself. And if you're constantly putting negative stuff in your head, then you're constantly training yourself for that.
That's
And
good.
then,
That's
yeah,
good.
definitely.
And
And
before you
then,
go on to the next step, I want to
oh,
I
go ahead.
don't want you to go by the belief belief so fast because I think this is the foundational principle.
Mhm.
Believing that you can do it because you said that I am going to be debt free. I am debt free. I can do this. You hear, and I know you've heard it, I've heard it 1,000 times. I'm going to be paying these student loans forever.
Yep.
You're setting yourself up right there to make that minimum payment and pay this thing forever. All in the mind. It starts with the mind and having a fixed mindset, meaning I can never pay these off. I'm going to pay these student loans forever. All I can make is the minimum payment is what traps one oneself in that cycle. And like Michael said, when you're programming your subconscious mind, it takes whatever you feed it, whatever you ingest into the brain, it's going to go that route. So when you say, I'm gonna be paying these forever, you're training your mind to bring up the fact that, hey, we're gonna get used to this. And even if we have extra money, we're not gonna put it towards the student loan because we're gonna pay this forever.
Facts.
Yeah, so continue on, sir. Good information so far. Continue on.
All right. So you want me to continue with the belief, or you want me to go to plan?
Go through the belief, finish it up, and then hit that plan part.
All right. So with the belief, what I was saying is that kind of like what you were saying. The whole thing is that the person that believes that they can't do something and the person that believes that they can do something are both correct. So it's whatever you tell yourself. If you tell yourself, I can't pay off my student loans, then you can't pay off your student loans. If you tell yourself you can pay off your student loans, then you can pay off your student loans. You
Mm,
want to expand your mind. And I want the listeners or anybody listening to get comfortable with the thought of being uncomfortable, right? So if this means paying a little bit extra towards your loans, like an extra $1,000 or whatever, then do what it is that you gotta do to be uncomfortable. But that doesn't mean just miscellaneous, just randomly putting $1,000 for it. We're gonna talk about that in the plan because you have to have a plan, you have to have a vision moving forward. So moving on to my plan, after I fixed my mindset with my belief
mhm.
through affirmations, through just believing I could do it, it really allowed me to get to that next level in terms of expanding my mind and paying it off in the time I wanted to pay it off. So plan. So what was the plan? Your plan is your vision. How are you going to get from point A to point B? You could be in any vehicle, but how are you going to get there? That was what I had to ask myself. So my plan was essentially looking at all of the different interest rates and looking at the average. So my average was anywhere from 3 to 5%, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So the ones that were higher, I added them up and I added up to about $16,000. Right. So now this becomes something tangible that I can look at.
Right.
And the other ones that are like 3% and all that, they're gonna do what they do. But I'm really worried about this $16,000 over here because this one's the one that's beating me up.
Mhm.
So once I saw that and I put it on paper, I knew that these are gonna be the ones that I tackle first. Because the whole reason why I got into this, let me pay it off quick and everything, is because I did miss my first payment and then I had to make two payments. So I had to pay for January and February. And
Okay.
then the fact that I saw that it wasn't that deep, like it didn't really hurt me that much. I was like, why are we paying all these minimum payments? Like they're just putting us in the hole. Like it wasn't even that serious. So I was like, I have to create this plan. So with the plan, I saw the 16,000, and then my whole mission was, how can I get rid of this $16,000 as soon as possible? So my goal was, based off of my job, I was getting paychecks now. My goal was to save at least 2,500 per month. And what I like to say is that, because initially this is how I went about it. Initially I said, let me save 2,000, 1,500 to 2,000. But the thing is, you don't always reach the goals that you aim to achieve. So you might as well just aim high, right?
True. True.
So that was what I had to really understand, because Although I set for 2,500, I didn't get 2,500 every month. I didn't save 2,500 every month, but I got closer to around there when I didn't cap myself at 1,500 or 2,000. So one thing I would say is definitely aim high, even if you don't reach it. Just aim high. You'll probably reach higher than if you set the bar really low. So I had this in mind. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna save. I'm gonna save up to get $16,000. So fast forward, I was able to save it to get all the way to $16,000. I think by it was maybe 6 months in or something like that. But the way that I did it, a lot of people have a misconception that it was just through my job, which isn't true. You got to think in abundance. So not only did I have my job money coming in, but I also had an additional stream of income, which I encourage people to be thinking of doing. Have
Mm.
multiple sources of income because my mind was right and we already covered the belief in step one. I technically still would have paid it off quick, but the fact that I had that additional stream of income coming in, it allowed it to happen quicker. So what was this additional stream of income? I personally don't do this anymore because I'm in different ventures, but anybody can do this. What I would do basically was looking at the relationship between Amazon and eBay, and I was doing like some drop shipping essentially. So I would Google Amazon lightning deals and I would click on a link. I would go to Amazon. So Amazon, at any given point, you can literally Google it right now. They usually have deals going on.
Uh-huh.
And basically a product might be like $40, but maybe they're selling it for 50% off, so it's $20. So I wouldn't care what the product was. I would go to Amazon Lightning Deals, I would look for the best deals, and then I would immediately go to eBay and I would look up the same item, and then on eBay they would have the same item listed for the actual price. So if it was 40 or if it was 20 on Amazon, 50% off, it would be 40 on eBay. And I would see a lot of the same listings. So I know everyone's doing the same exact thing that I'm doing.
Right.
So, so basically I would have hella listings based off of the good pricing and stuff. So after I did that, I would have it like $1 or maybe a couple dollars less than the
Mhm.
competition or whatever. And then as I would get sales, um, I don't have to have the item. So I would go to Amazon while it's still on that discounted price. So let's say the 40/20 example. Let's say it's $20 on Amazon. I would get it from Amazon and then I would type in their information and ship it back. So minus the Amazon fees, I mean minus the eBay fees and everything, with that $20 margin, you might keep anywhere from 10 to $15 or whatever. If you do it consistently, you can really make a good amount of money. And this was how I was able to help myself to sometimes reach those 2,500 months. And specifically, I think this was around February or March. This was around the beginning of my journey. For some reason, Tim's, like, it was a really popular item that I had. So I believe they were being sold on Amazon for, it was probably 70 or $75. But then on eBay, it was listed for like 120, 130. Some people were listing as much as like 140, 150. I was like, all right, I know what I'm gonna do. So I listed like around like 120. And I was literally getting sales like every day. So every day I was shipping it over to them. And you can literally do this for free if you use a credit card, but some people might not want to do that. So if you
Mhm.
have a little bit of capital to actually order the item, you can use a debit card. But this was just something that I used when I didn't have any other streams of income. Right now, I don't do that anymore because I'm focusing on a lot of different other efforts. But I would definitely recommend that. And not only that, definitely just have the mindset to think in abundance because it's important to know that you can save money, but you can only save so much, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah. So a lot of people they have the misconception that you just save money, but that wasn't the case. So I did that. I knocked over the $16,000 from my job and having that stream of income, and then that really had a shift in me. It was like a switch, like, oh, this is really possible.
Yeah.
Because the fact I was able to dump $16,000 and have a huge chop in it, it was just crazy to me. And then yeah, I thank God for that, for me being able to do that. And then I had a remaining balance of, I think it was like 16 or 17 or something, with all the interest it was
Mhm.
gathering up and all that. So it just made the journey that much easier because it's like you're climbing up to a mountain and I finally got to the top. So then I'm going down the mountain, and the rest of paying it off was pretty easy. So that was my whole plan because I literally put the $16,000. I was able to figure out the interest rate, and I think that's called the avalanche method when you look at the highest interest rates.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did that, and then it goes to the third step, execute. You have to finally execute what your plan was. So a vision or a plan without execution is hallucination.
Right.
So yeah, if you don't actually execute upon that, you're literally hallucinating, right? And that was essentially the three-step process that was a three-step conscious process that I did. But a fourth step, which I would say can go before the belief, if you will, was actually self-awareness. This was unconscious because I didn't realize that I did take the disc assessment a long time ago back then. And I knew where I was and how I was operating, but I wasn't
Mhm.
really too conscious of it. And I think the fact that I knew that I was a D, somebody that's decisive, and I knew that I had to operate in like my C, even though that's not naturally who I am, to be able to create like that system for getting my job and stuff. Because I consider getting the process of getting my job part of the journey. So I think self awareness is huge because you might not know your style. Like if you're a C, you might be really good at budgeting, right? So it's just important to know who you are. So I would definitely attest the disc assessment and knowing who I was unconsciously to the process. So I say it's a three-step process, but it's technically four-step if you incorporate the disc assessment. And then the flight assessment really allowed me to reflect and understand that I unconsciously knew who I was in the process. So that's kind of how I did it, if you will.
That's good. That's good. Now, when you're and I love that. I've heard of drop shipping before, never really looked into it, but your explanation of it was like, man, that's something that anybody can do
Yeah.
if you are, like you said, consistent, take the time, research it, find the product, and just do that. So I do like how you mentioned that we do need that extra income coming in, that stream. And as you grow and as people grow, we need more income. We need more streams of income because with just one stream, with just a job, you're just paying bills.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
are paying bills. What you need to do is begin to get those additional streams of income. So not only can you can pay your bills, but you can start to buy assets.
Definitely.
And their assets, if they're the right kind of asset, they can start to pay your liabilities.
Hmm.
Real estate is one of those assets that if you get into real estate rental properties, you can buy a property for a bill
Yeah.
and have that property, that rental property income paying your liability. So in this case, student loan debts. If you have a property and you allocate that cash flow, go straight to the student loan. That's a way. If you
Hmm.
invest in the stock market or Forex, that's another way.
Hmm.
But I want to touch on a part that I didn't hear you mention, but in your planning and in your execution, there had to be a part to where you were delaying gratification as well.
Oh, definitely. Okay.
Because I know a lot of people that I see say that I don't have any money, I can't pay an extra payment a month, I can't do this,
Hmm.
but they got the best phone, new car,
Hmm.
nice shoes, nice clothes.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
say you have to go and buy the bad or, get hand me down, but saving money, delaying gratification, not getting that Starbucks coffee, not getting that extra food or eating out, that's extra money. That can be a
Yeah.
stream of income if you look.
Yeah. Definitely.
So talk to us a little bit about how did you delay gratification? What were your spending habits like during this time when you were super focused on paying off your student loans?
Okay. So I mentioned earlier how in college I wasn't the best at managing money, but just in
Mhm.
general compared to my peers, I was because I wouldn't say that I'm bad with money. I just wasn't as good as when I was focused. You know, and that's natural. You should get better when you're focused. So in terms of delayed gratification, I'm not. really a materialistic person like that, so it wasn't too hard for me to adjust.
Okay.
Yeah, but definitely there was delayed gratification in that. And the thing is, with me, I like to, because I financially coach clients as well. I like to tell them that this is a lifestyle, it's not a diet, right?
Right.
So you want to make small changes. You don't want to make big changes, because it's like you can't you can't get from the bottom of the stairs all the way to the top of the stairs unless you got some long ass legs. You know what I'm saying? So you got to really take one step at a time. So it's about taking these small steps and applying pressure here and there. So I essentially, okay, this is the best way I can say it. So let's say I'm spending 400 a month on groceries or something, just a random number. I wouldn't go from spending 400 to now spending 40.
Right.
You want to take those small steps. So maybe I'll do 350, maybe I'll do 300. So for me, I don't like to I don't like to make myself suffer. So I was like, this is gonna be a lifestyle thing. At the end of the day, I'm serious, but I still want it to be a lifestyle.
Mhm.
So I like to look at it in the fact of, I don't like budgets. I like a system, right? So I don't like budgets. I like a system. What does that mean? Budget is where it has like an emotional attachment
Mhm.
to it, right? As an emotional thing with it. If I go over my budget, oh, I don't like budget. I know a lot of people don't like budgeting. So I like to say use a system. What is the system? A system is it's a logical thing. And it has nothing to do with emotions. You pay your bills, you put money where it's supposed to be. So on your debt payments or whatever. So I followed my plan. So I didn't look at it as a budget. I looked at it as a system. It's logical. And then I also have a fun
Okay.
category. I have a fun category, or like free guilt-free spending. That's what I call it. So I
Mm.
have
Mhm.
guilt-free spending. So I know every month. For me, this was enough. For me, it was enough to know that I had every month to where I could spend a certain amount of money. So whether that might be 100, $200 or whatever I decided for it to be, the fact I had guilt-free spending, delayed gratification wasn't that hard for me to grasp, because like I said, naturally in my DNA, I'm not that much of a materialistic person. Um, I cook most of my meals anyway, so I don't even eat out like that. And I think it was just my natural DNA that allowed me to navigate that space of delayed gratification. But I even discuss delayed gratification in my book, The Power of Yet. So it's like it's definitely a concept that we should be aware of. But I think unconsciously, I just went over it and I didn't even mention it, because it's like, it's not even a huge issue like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. When you don't have that, it isn't you don't even have to talk about it. You just boom. I don't really have that thing, so I was able to accomplish my goals. And I like what you said about the guilt-free spending. A
Hmm.
coach of mine also has a fund, and he has a rental property, and all the money from that rental property goes to date nights.
Mm.
And the rule is they have to spend all of that money on the date night.
No.
So that's how they celebrate themselves, him and his wife. That's how it really works out for them. They take that money, they spend it once a month on the date night, they spend it all, they eat well, do well. So
Yeah.
it gives you that sense of that celebration because I also like what you said about not, you know, not really keeping yourself down or making it hard on yourself because
Hmm.
if you do that for a long period of time, it starts to break you down a little bit, burn you out, and it's like, "Man, I'm trying to get this goal, but I'm not enjoying myself," and then you slip.
Nah, life is short. At the end of the day, I'm still going to enjoy myself. I'm not going to live a miserable life. So that's why I tell my clients.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about your clients, let's talk about your coaching, and let's talk about your book.
Okay.
If I'm a new client, I'm coming to you, what is it that you're going to help me with? And then does your book fall into this play, or is that something I can get separate?
So if you're a new client, you come to me. This has been evolved coaching. So it's evolved over time. When I first started, I was just asking the people, okay, how much are you in debt? And, we went about it that way,
Okay.
which is still what we do, but I've added an extra layer. I got extreme execution certified through Eric Thomas and his associates through using a flight assessment. You can go to flightassessment.com to get more information on that. And like I was mentioning earlier, the flight assessment is just kind of like an extension of the disc assessment. So if you're a new client, I'm going to have you take that assessment, not only so I know how to coach you effectively, but also I give you a taste of diving into the book of you so you understand how your superpower, if you will, relates to finances. So if let's say you were a high C or what we call air traffic controller, based on the system, I would understand and let you know that you have a likelihood of being really good at budgeting. So you should definitely fall into that superpower. And then furthermore, if I figured out that you needed somebody that was like a D or a pilot, somebody that's decisive, somebody that's quick, somebody that makes decisions, I might help you diagnose a situation that you are thinking about it too much. You're thinking about, oh, maybe I should jump, maybe I shouldn't. But that pilot might be your brother or something, your sister, whoever in your life, might be your parent, and they would help you get further in the process. So I kind of added that layer of using extreme execution training into my financial coaching my clients. As far as my book, The Power of Yet, so that's something separate, but it definitely is a mindset piece. And I wrote it being inspired by the fact I did pay off the student loans and just wanted to include some financial literacy information in there and just representation because when it comes to money with black people, it's something hard to talk about. So I wanted to include some representation in there, and it just has like that growth mindset piece. So not only is it gonna help your financial mindset because the way that's broken, it's a fiction book and it's also a personal development book slash self help. So I
Okay.
blended both the genres because I like reading both, and I really got inspired by The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Mhm.
So it follows the life of a young girl named Nia Akintoye. She's a Nigerian girl, and she aims to major in computer science. And this was important for me because I mentioned earlier that I was the president of the National Society of Black Engineers chapter of my school. And I was seeing that with the lack of representation with some of the girls, that how it was hard for them to deal in the space of being computer science. So I wanted to include representation in this book. So this girl, she struggles with public speaking. So I kind of put my own story in there, if you will, but I
Mhm.
made it super extra because she literally like passes out from trying to do public speaking. I didn't pass out, by the way. So if anyone reads the book, that wasn't me. But so she's really extra with it, and she has to learn to go from a fixed mindset of her insecurities and all of that to go to a growth mindset. So she has a father that mentors her and he gives her a lot of financial nuggets. So just things that I learned throughout the process. And then after it's split into three parts. So there's a spiritual phase, there's a mental phase, there's a physical phase. That goes back to my three-step process. Believe is spiritual,
Mhm.
plan is mental, execution is physical. So
Okay.
after each of the parts of the book, you have activities. So the very first activity, from what I remember, is what's your relationship with money, and it just kind of dives into that. And there's a lot of different activities. So that's separate from the extreme execution coaching. It's actually both. It can be separate, but if we look at the packaging, you can get a copy of the book as well. But yeah, that's just kind of how I go about it. Is now so different products out there.
Okay. That's excellent information, and I like the way you broke the book up to, style or to mirror kinda like your plan, or your plan mirrors your book, which gives
Hmm.
great information, great insight, and makes it practical.
Yeah,
And the whole conversation, I mean, listening to you, this thing does not have to be hard.
definitely.
And I'm trying to figure out why over the years does it seem that way, because I've heard it and I see it on Facebook all the time. One of the things people want is student loan forgiveness. Can
Yeah,
we get
crazy.
these loans off of us? But you can begin to pay that debt down if you focus on it and if you put yourself in the right mindset. So,
Mhm.
Michael, as you think about this, what would be the golden keys, or what would be 3 top things you think people need to do immediately to transform their mindset and then start working to pay this debt off today?
Number one, I say take the flight assessment, take the disc assessment because self awareness is really, really key. Like, I can't emphasize how important self awareness is. For my journey in paying off my debt, like I said, it was unconscious self awareness, but just the fact that I'm more consciously aware and I'm able to operate in my superpower, it allows me to know that I can be more effective. So as I'm wealth building now, right?
Yeah.
So definitely self awareness. So definitely take that assessment, and I think that'll set the foundation. Number two, I would say is definitely work on your mindset. So working on your mindset can be any number of things. It can be something as simple as listening to a podcast. It could be listening to this podcast. It could be listening to different podcasts, watching different YouTube videos, things of that nature. But the whole thing with working on your mindset is understand that it is a journey. Writing down affirmations, things of that nature. I don't know if I mentioned this, but with my journey, it got to a point that I literally recorded myself saying that I am debt free on like VLC Media Player. I recorded it and then I looped it. I would wear earphones, and as I would
Wow.
sleep, yeah, I would play it in my ear. So it was like my own programming before I would
Yep.
go to sleep. So it got to a point that sometimes I would be dreaming about it. Like I was hearing that in my dreams. So it was just crazy. I was constantly thinking about it. So definitely work on your mindset. You can do something as simple as that or affirmations, but it gets to a point you don't want to fall victim to analysis paralysis.
Yep.
So the third thing I would tell you to do is just execute. So just start something. So start something. I'll say have your plan and start something. So starting something can be as simple as trying the Amazon lightning deals thing I was saying.
Mhm.
Starting something can be as simple as continue reading good books. The Richest Man in Babylon is a good book, by the way.
Yeah, that's a
So
great book.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Great
So
book.
in summary, I mean, it just goes back to what I was saying. Definitely self awareness. So take the disc assessment, flight assessment, um, and you can really understand who you are. Both of us happen to be coaches, so whoever you tend to go through, I'm sure you'll get good information from both. But I mean, I'm on the financial piece and stuff, so just take the assessment. Number two, like I said, work on your mindset. Number three, start something.
That's good, that's good, and I wanna go through your three-step plan on how you paid it off. Believe.
Mhm.
Believe in yourself. Start to program your mind to say that you can do this, I can do this. Eliminate the whole I'm gonna pay these all my life, and eliminate the attitude that I'm just gonna pay them the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Stop with student loans, credit card debt, any kind of debt that you have that you owe. Stop paying the minimum balance because
Mm.
that's what loops you into the forever thing.
Mhm.
You charge it, the interest gets you, you pay the minimum, you're never really making that dent. It looks like it's not going anywhere. So change the mindset. Believe in yourself. Positive affirmations. That's when you say to yourself, you look at your vision where you want to be and you repeat that to yourself. And if
Yeah.
you don't know what to say, you can Google positive affirmations. YouTube
Yeah.
will loop them for you. And you can just sit down in a quiet space, listen to it. The best times to listen to positive affirmations are in the morning when you first wake up, because that's when our subconscious mind is most impressionable. And then when you go to bed at night, because then it's going to replay through that night. And instead of having those nightmare dreams of paying the next bill, you'll have the dreams of paying some positive
Facts.
things and paying some things off. So the next thing Michael covered was plan. Plan this out. Write this down. If you keep it in your head, it's not going to go anywhere. It just doesn't
Mm.
happen because the brain can only occupy and think about one thing at a time. So if you're thinking about paying debt and then you see a good movie come on, you're going to forget about paying your debt off. So write it down, review it often. If not at one time a day, multiple times a day, so you can begin to, like Michael said, retrain your brain to visualize and to put you in motion. And then
Yeah.
three, It's all great to dream and to have goals and even to write them down. But if you don't execute, if you don't take the next step, if you don't make like Les Brown says, a conscious, deliberate effort, you won't do anything. So
Mhm.
I guess for me, for the crowd, for the audience, for the listeners, first thing you need to do today is start changing your mindset. Soon as you can start just thinking in a positive direction, write down the plan. As you write down that plan, execute, put a date on it, say tomorrow, say this month, this payment, I'm going to pay an extra $50. And I like, Michael, what you said, don't try to do it all at once.
Mhm.
Don't try to say, well, I'll just double my payments, because that may not be feasible. It may not be realistic. But add an extra $20, an extra $30, that can be feasible. You can apply that, you can do it. It doesn't feel tough or hard. And I guarantee when you start to do that, you'll say, I can add another 10 and I
Mhm.
can add another 20. And when you see the balance start to decrease faster, that builds that momentum. It feels good. And then you want to add more and you just get all the way in sync with it. And listeners, please do this. I've heard it all my life, and I've heard it from other people. I've heard it from cousins. I've heard it from friends. I'm going to be paying this debt all my life. That is not what we were designed to do. We weren't designed
Mhm.
to be in debt. It's not biblical. Not at all.
Yeah.
And so, Michael, I definitely appreciate you again for joining us. Tell the people how they can reach you, how they can contact you if they are in need of that financial coaching. Definitely let us know how we can get your book, how we can support you. So just all the hashtags, all the handles, let us know.
All right, so you can go to my website, Michael, Michael, Benjamin, BenjaminCom, and you can get more information on me. If you want to get my book, you can go on Amazon, or you can, if you want a signed copy, you can go to michaelobenjamin.com/TPOY, the power of yet, and you can get more information on the book there. I was on NBC TV. I had a live TV interview for it, so you can see that. You can see the book trailer. You can get more information over there. And then, in terms of social media, you can get at me on Instagram at Mike O Benjamin. So it's MichaelBenjamin. Link in my bio has a way for you to book calls and everything. So you can contact me that way. And thanks for having me.
Phenomenal. Thank you, Michael. And again, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for just joining us for another episode of the Empowerment Platform, where our goal is to simply empower you to reach your goals. Thank you.